we were talking about Nick Khan and his comments, about how the brand was going to change, and I speculated, are we going to see a different color on the brand and whatnot?
Oh yeah, we saw a lot of different colors. This one, it's very much like rainbow, like you said, the rainbow rebrand. There's a Wale song that kind of accompanies the promotion. Being true to yourself is the name of the song. Shout out to Wale, by the way, friend of the channel.
Yeah, we love Wale Mania. Can't wait for Dallas.
Yes, when that comes back, hopefully. But we've got it's a new look. It's an asymmetrical logo. It kind of like leans to the left, and it's got like it's a layout designer's nightmare is all I'm saying in terms of that look. But as far as the color goes, I like it. I dig it. Like, I think wrestling needs more color, more vibrance. I'm so sick of every wrestling t-shirt on the market just being black.
Right.
That's why I strive on prowrestlingtees.com/wrestlingwithregret to have a wide variety of colors available. Not just the fabric, but also the patterns on my shirts.
Do you get that plug?
Yeah, always, man. So, but yeah, I think it's a much welcome change, like in kind of a, no pun intended, but a brighter direction for NXT, because I was getting really sick of like the dour, glum black metal aesthetic that NXT has kind of morphed into over the years. First, it was the industrial black and yellow, and then it got like skulls and iron crosses everywhere. Really, to give you an idea of who's running the show there.
Right, I was gonna say, was Lenny from Motorhead singing everything too?
Where do you think I got these chops from? So it's one of those things where I think it was time for an aesthetic change up. I think all the shows, no matter what company or what brand, needs that every once in a while to kind of like just rattle things up a bit. So if that's just the base coat of what we're getting, speaking of paint, the base coat of this rebrand, I think it's a step in the right direction. I think it skews younger. I think it skews because of the fact that it went from like this, from Corey Taylor of Slipknot singing to Wale. I think it's obviously leaning more toward like a hip hop aesthetic. You look at like who they're pushing right now in NXT, guys like Hit Row and LDF and folks like that. I think that is kind of skewing toward more this urban, diverse kind of aesthetic. And trying to make it more like, more teen friendly and more hip and more cool and more accessible in that way.
What do you remember when I first showed it to you? I said it kind of looks like an 80s t-shirt or something to me, with just all the bright colors on it and stuff, And so, I mean, I'm totally down for the change. I think change is good, especially with brands like NXT. I don't think, that they have a shelf life of like maybe 5 years or something like that with the same brand look. But yeah, it is interesting to see this. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think, because they introduced that Capitol Wrestling Center, do you think they're just going to change that up? Do you think it's going to stay the same? I mean, because to me, having this look with like the hockey looking surrounding the ring, barrier, I guess you could say.
Saying, the barricade.
Yeah, having the lighting from the bottom coming up, having just that dark look. Do you think they're going to keep it that same way?
I would not be surprised if we got some kind of revamp of the look there. I don't know if they would kind of go with like a white look, or I don't know where like the vibrant colors would fit besides the LED boards and stuff. I don't know if they would keep the chain link. It does a good job kind of covering up the plexiglass, but who knows what they're going to do with that. I will just say, I hate the way the audience is lit on the show. And I talked to you about this. The ones who are in the hard cam and who are lit from underneath is not only a very unflattering light, it also just really shows how sometimes bored they look, because they'll see when they're crossing their arms or looking at their phones, and it's like, maybe, who knows, maybe they're putting out spoilers to people. I don't know. Right. But it's really not a great look. Just on so many levels, I don't like the way they've lit that. I'd rather just be in darkness than to be underlit from, for that sort of thing. But I would like to see a change in the set as well. I think, the logos, the logo's one thing, but I don't need it to be bright and colorful like a Nickelodeon show.
Right. That's what it kind of reminds me of, is like a Nickelodeon. What was that, GAC or Splat or something?
Well, I keep thinking Wild and Crazy Kids. That's like kind of what I keep picturing, that game show.
The one where they got splattered with the green slime?
I don't know if they got the slime in that show, but Figure It Out was a show where people got slimed, or you can't do that on television. That's a separate aesthetic though. But I think, I'm optimistic. I see a lot of people kind of dogging on it, and I just don't agree. I will say, people are right to point out that, hey, doesn't this feel like kind of Dynamite in its first year when they had the rainbow powder explosions? It feels very much like that. It's like it's. I don't think it's a coincidence. Let's just say. Now, obviously, Dynamite has changed their look in the last several months. Now they have more of like a black and red kind of look with Dynamite and their graphics and stuff. So they're not rainbow like they used to be.
Isn't that interesting? We were just talking about on like the last podcast about how NXT never said it, but they were directly competing with Ring of Honor and all these things, you know. So here we are again. It's like history's repeating itself.
It's all like moves and counter moves, and like they don't want to say it, they won't admit it, but like there's always a little bit of like, are you sure there's nothing to it? You know, it's like, are you sure it's not about something else? Like,
well, what if there is something to it? What do you think they're gaining out of it or anything? Because to me, it's like it seems like AEW would be what they're not wanting to do.
Like I said, I don't think it's a coincidence that they've adopted this rainbow color scheme shortly after Dynamite kind of abandoned it. Maybe they're kind of trying to do subliminal messaging like, hey, we're just like that cool show, you know, on TNT. Come watch us. But I mean, I don't know. It's like how much of it was coincidental, how much of it was intentional or malicious, you know, or just they're kind of nicking a fun idea. I don't know. And I don't think that AEW owns the patent on the rainbow spectrum. I don't think that it's only allowed for one person to have. I think more wrestling promotions should go with like brighter, more vibrant colors like that. Like I said, there's way too much like dour and glower and too much just black in wrestling and merchandise and branding. And I think that it's just to add the color to it. It gives off a bigger image of, it's all about image with WWE, it's all about perception, and they want to be perceived as something that's more open and more accepting and more diverse. I think their latest batch of releases kind of goes against that, you know, that philosophy, looking at how they released Jake Atlas, but it's just the way they want to go with it right now. I am on board with it. And I don't think it's going to affect the content, the actual writing too much. That could be a whole other story about the revamp. We'll have to wait and see what happens after this batch of episodes from the last tapings that the CWC wraps up, and to see where the new Rainbow era does take us. And so, Jay, I have to ask you, I don't think you've actually directly addressed it. Do you like the new color scheme?
To be honest with you, I don't care. I'm always excited for change, especially in something like NXT. It's going to happen anyway, so it might as well. So I'm interested, honestly, to see what they do. I'm all about sets and you know, entrance ramps and stuff like that. Aesthetics. You can have complete shit wrestling, but if you have good aesthetics, in my opinion, I love it.
It really covers it can cover up a lot of it.
It can. It definitely can.
Want to hear more? Subscribe to This Week in Regret on YouTube for full episodes of the podcast, dropping every Thursday night. Don't forget, we're also on SoundCloud.